I don't know what it was about last time, but my levels are certainly much more accurate this time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I have no clue. Solving audio problems like we do it for a living.
Hey.
Some of us do.
Or at least have done it 120 times. Welcome to We Were Gamers podcast. I'm a little higher energy than last week, you guys, because I accidentally forgot that I shouldn't drink coffee at 6 p.m.
Ooh, that's a spicy thing to forget.
It's going to be a late night. How is everybody? We're coming back from a holiday weekend. We're actually recording on a holiday because why not?
I mean, yeah, happy Labor Day, guys.
Yeah, happy Labor Day. Don't wear white anymore now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do some labor on this Labor Day and talk a lot.
Fashion plebes, don't wear white.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to think back. Do I even own anything white? I think I have like a couple white dress shirts.
I don't know how that can count for men and white dress shirts.
Yeah, right?
I think it's really a sexist kind of thing, telling women what they can't wear, but it can't apply to men. There's no way, because you can't tell us the only dress shirt we own we can't wear.
Yeah, like, what are you just... people that have to wear tuxedos, are they never going to wear the tuxedo then? What other color shirt can you wear?
Look, white tuxedos are okay now, and we need to remove all constituent dress code violations and fashion things from Labor Day. No more of this. White is fine all year round, especially at Christmas. So this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I also feel like it's definitely more of an East Coast thing, since in California people already don't follow the rules about what you should wear when anyway.
Yeah, plus it's 95 degrees in November. You got to wear something light colored.
You can't tell me that I'm not allowed to wear sandals almost everywhere in California. So
I think it's one of those old South clothing rules,
which also doesn't make sense. It's hot there too,
and it's muggy.
Yes. Yeah. Holiday weekend, you guys. I had a busy one. I assume y'all did as well. I don't know how we're going to even cover it all or use the whole podcast just for that. So I think we should each pick a thing. One thing?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a good one.
All right. You go. You.
Okay.
That's Michael.
You guys... hey, guys.
JJ's here as well.
Hello.
And as always, I'm Andrew.
Have you guys ever unintentionally climbed a mountain?
No. I will say that all the times I've climbed mountains, it was intentional.
I don't know that that's true, JJ. We accidentally climbed some part of a mountain in Korea, going to that Buddhist temple.
You're right. I don't know if it was unintentional, though. We were kind of trying to get there.
We were trying to get there, but no one told us it was on the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
however, we did not crest or complete the mountain. We stopped at the temple and then came back down. So maybe got 400 feet up a mountain and then came back down.
It was very high. I remember being tired.
Did you accidentally climb an entire mountain?
Mostly, yeah. So we were up in Tahoe this weekend celebrating our first anniversary.
Insert soundboard crowd clapping sound.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We had a great weekend. But one of the things that we wanted to do was there was a hike up in Squaw Valley called, what was the name of it? The Shirley Canyon hike that we had read about in one of the Scenic Places to Go magazines that we picked up a copy of over breakfast. And it listed it as a moderate hike, about 3 miles long, and when you made it to the top, the end of the trail was the tram stop, where you could take the tram up for all the different ski lifts in the wintertime. And so if you make it to the top of the hike, you can then take the tram back down into Squaw Village. So we figured that sounds fun. We'll make the climb, and then we'll take the tram back down. So we started out probably about 3:15, 3:30 in the afternoon, figuring that would be plenty of time for a 3-mile hike. And it was a little confusing as to exactly where the trail started, but we got it cleared up. And we went the first, mile and a half, And there were some climbing up some rocks up a, dry stream bed sort of thing, but nothing super strenuous. And then we come around the corner of the trail, and there is this sign that says, "Warning, steep granite terrain ahead." And
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, it informs us that what we have climbed already is not steep. We have gone halfway. We have gone halfway mileage-wise, so we're about 1.5 miles into the 3-mile trail. But we have only climbed 700 feet and have 1,300 to go.
Oh, that's a lot of vertical.
So when you start doing the math on the elevation change there, it pitches real hard, real fast for the second half of the climb.
So and we had rock climbing gear with you, right?
No. Oh. No, we were just in hiking shoes.
Okay.
And so to make this even more fun is the fact that the hike started at 6,200 feet.
So you're climbing to about 8,200 feet?
8,300 feet. I think it was 2,100 total feet of climb.
That's a mountain, like a real mountain.
It is meant to ski down, I think, right? So
yes, yeah. Although most of the section that we climb is not. It was either part of the creek or it was not in one of the ski hills.
Walking up the trail. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did come across a lift probably 80% of the way up. But we had to climb high enough to get to the point where all the lifts would let people off.
Yowza.
So that was fun. We made it to the top 5 minutes before the last tram.
Holy smokes.
Which was good, because otherwise we would have been crashing the wedding at the top and waiting until they all decided to descend, or maybe walking down the fire road that went all the way back down on the other side, because there was no way we were doing that climb in reverse.
In the dark?
Well, by the time we got back down to the bottom, it would have been dark, yeah.
Oh, my.
Yikes.
So that was my one thing, I guess.
Oh, wow.
My one thing is not as exciting as that. We did do a bit of nature. We went out to Palm Springs, Palm Desert specifically. Did a nice little nature hike there. Walked through some slot canyons and got a nice little tour of the desert. It was pretty fun. If you guys have never done that, I recommend it. But that's not the main thing that I think we want to talk about. I want to talk about playing mini golf. Have you guys played mini golf recently?
We almost did over the weekend.
I can't remember the last time I did.
You guys, mini golf is fun.
Oh, it's great. We actually played a couple of months ago. So yeah,
it's probably been, gosh, I can't guess how many years. Some friends of ours were out there, and we met them up at night because it's 1 billion degrees during the day, and you do not want to play mini golf in 100-degree weather. But when it's like 80 at night, that is the perfect time to play mini golf.
Absolutely, because
nice.
I have a strong opinion about this. You do want to play mini golf at night, right? There's really no reason to play during the day unless you're going with kids.
Yeah, so like playing during the day is fine, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but it's definitely better at night, assuming the course actually has lights that work.
Yeah, a lot of them are designed to be all lit up at night.
Yeah, and they have lights. To be fair, this place had lights, that just not all of them were working, which made it tough in certain places. But yeah, mini golf is good. It's like, if you actually want to try to be good, it's kind of hard. But it is a fun activity to do with a group of people, that is for sure. Did either of you guys play much mini golf when you were young?
I played it quite a bit, especially during summer. We'd go during camps and things. And early on in high school, I can remember going at night quite a bit. So I'm a solid putter.
I feel like that was me also. Like during the summer, my dad and I would go like during the day for like a thing to do to get me out of the house, or we would go, like after a movie, or just like, something to do for the day. I don't know if I went with too many camps, but like it was definitely just like a thing to do during the summer, like go play around a mini golf and like have a nice day out or whatever.
I enjoyed making sure I was not a hooligan golfer. The people that were like smashing it around and like bouncing the ball 3 holes ahead and then running around like crazy people.
Yeah, taking full swings.
Every time you go to mini golf, you run into those people. What? Why?
Yeah.
What are you doing there? Go somewhere else. Go to a batting cage. They usually have them right there.
They usually have them right there. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Young kids, definitely, it's a little more understandable because they're like out having a fun thing with their friends or whatever and running around the course being crazy. But like, what if you want to like be good? It's like hard to be good at those courses, man. It's not easy.
Years ago, I must have been in high school because I was home. It was summertime. And on ESPN2, they were playing the World Mini Golf Championships.
What?
And these guys are as good as you would expect from world champion mini golfers.
That sounds like something
like
I
lining
watch.
up all of the angles, all of the crazy shots that you walk up to a new hole on mini golf and you see, okay, I can see what I'm supposed to do here to get a hole in one, but there's no way I could ever hit this shot. Right? They hit them like they're nothing.
Yeah. I will applaud 2 of the girls that were with us got holes in one, which was pretty good. And I will say that I was robbed of one by, there's those, the mini golf ones where you hit it up and there's like a ramp, and like halfway up the ramp there's a pipe, and then at the very top of the ramp there's a pipe.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
you got to get the right pipe.
Right. You got to pick the right pipe. Well, okay, so I hit it in. What ostensibly should have been the right pipe, it comes down to a little putting green. The ball rolls right to the hole, bounces in and bounces right back out, and is then off to the side of the hole. The worst.
Was it some sort of like green lip? You know, when the courses get old, the greens have lips near the holes, and they kind of
droop.
Like they either droop or they lift up where the fake grass is kind of lifting up a little bit and it creates a hill.
Yeah, there definitely were some of the holes that had that, but no, in this case it looked like the ball just had a bit of a bounce coming out of the pipe. It wasn't rolling. It was like kind of jumping a little bit, and so it just jumped and bounced in and bounced out.
Robbed.
Yes, very much so.
Robbed. Have you ever done, speaking of childish things to do, not childish in a, well, this is childish, but that wasn't, okay, backing up, reversing.
Things from our childhood.
Well, I never did this as a kid, but I guess it was a thing. I participated in a fruit by the foot race today.
Oh, yeah. I did that as a kid.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, someone, I don't know the word of this, but maybe I did the thing. Can you explain what that is?
So you remember what a fruit by the foot, it's the rolled candy that's on like a spiral on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Okay. You unspiral the whole thing and you put one end in your mouth and then you eat the whole thing without touching it.
Okay.
And you do it as a race.
It's like whoever can eat the whole thing first?
You win, yeah.
Do you like unroll it all first and then just like start slurping it up, or do you have to unroll and eat together?
No, you unroll the entire thing first.
Okay, so you just like hold it up and then just like go.
Yep.
I don't think I ever did that.
It's extremely silly and childish, but something that someone had mentioned that they had all done as kids and the rest of us had not. And so at a Labor Day party today, a bunch of adults gathered in a circle and we did a race of fruit by the foot as children looked on.
Wondering what are these
wondering
old people
what
doing.
we were doing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good job, you guys.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's great.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
It was fun from what I remember of doing it as a kid. We always had a good time with it.
Speaking of childhood snacks, Oreos,
deep fry them.
Yeah, well, it's the end of summer, so I guess you can't do it until next summer.
Yeah, Oreos are fine.
I'm a little bit concerned. We might have to go see if Oreo is okay. Check in on Oreo. They announced 2 new flavors today: chicken wing and wasabi.
Oh,
they're branching out into savory. I don't know about this.
I have to say,
hold on though. Is the chicken wing flavor? Does it actually taste like a chicken wing, or does it taste like buffalo sauce?
Is one of those actually better than the other?
Yes.
Do I need to do the research to answer this question? Or should we debate the merits of either?
Here's what I will say. if it tastes like buffalo sauce, that's a flavor I could see you making a cream filling out of. I cannot see any way you make a chicken-flavored filling and put it in an Oreo.
So you're saying the buffalo wing would get you that sort of chili chocolate?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Look,
okay. I
don't think it's
can
good.
see it if I squint.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
The sun's in
no
my
one
eyes
should eat this.
on this one.
Either one is bad, but I
put down the
could
visor.
see a world.
Hold on.
I could see a world where someone wants the buffalo one. I don't see any world where that chicken one gets out of a lab.
All right, so I definitely recall the photograph of these Oreos, and the chicken wing one is a slightly orangish color. So my guess is that you're right. It's some sort of buffalo-related flavor.
Okay. It's still bad.
It's definitely still bad.
And what was the other one? Sorry,
wasabi.
I blocked it out of my mind. Oh, God, that's even worse.
block it back out.
Yeah,
Here's the issue I have with this.
Because, like, green tea would be okay.
Green tea,
like
that would
green
be
tea
amazing.
Kit Kats.
There are Japanese Oreos with matcha in them.
Yeah.
So how
do we
you
not get those?
I see a game coming.
Oh, no. I see where you're going with this.
Minefield.
Yeah, that's the worst possible game to lose. You lose that game and your mouth is like, well, I guess your nasal cavity is cleared, but everything else is awful.
The first 3 times you were happy because you got matcha, and then the 4th one, you just shouldn't have played roulette, you know?
There's actually a bar that does this, literally that thing, like Russian roulette with chicken wings down here.
Oh, no.
And it's like hot chicken wings, but then one of them is ghost pepper hot.
Are we done with food?
I think we've all hit our one thing, yeah?
Okay. Well,
good. It sounds like good weekends, mostly.
Full weekends.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely good.
Full weekends full of news?
There's some things that happened.
I think that I have a lot of comments on a lot of different things, and I know we started to talk about them before the podcast, and we said, wait a minute. If there's this much, we should just bring it all up on the podcast. So maybe news we're most excited about, and then other stuff?
Sure.
Okay. Consensus reached. I'm going to lay out there that I am very, very excited that Capcom has not, I want to say a bad word, blanked the bed on a franchise that they own and have owned for a long time that has just fallen away and had a huge following. Have you ever heard of a game called Onimusha Warlords?
That does not ring a bell.
No? Nothing?
I know that franchise, but I don't know if I ever played any of them.
There was Onimusha Warlords, Onimusha Samurai something, Onimusha Demon, I think. There were 3 at least. And you were a Ronin-ish type samurai running around some sort of feudal Japan-ish type place with a bunch of demons running around. It reminds me a little bit of a Demon Souls style game that you would call it now, where you collected essences from the things that you killed, and they kind of ran to your character and you used them to beef your character up.
Right.
Definitely the action-adventure style. I think you just used the sword. I don't think you got like a bow or anything. They used a lot. It was kind of like the Resident Evil engine, I believe, that they used for it. So it was a lot of the levels had a fixed camera, so you couldn't really move it around like you probably could in later design versions of this stuff.
That probably explains why I wasn't too into it.
Yeah.
Okay, what platform are we talking?
This is a PlayStation 2 game. It was a Capcom game.
Okay.
Yeah, and one that I remember vividly playing for quite a bit of time because I was never into the... This is like an open secret, but I do not like zombie-related things very often. I'm make a huge exception for The Walking Dead, but we can make tons of arguments as to why it's not a zombie show / book. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan. So the Resident Evil and just general horror series don't usually appeal to me. When I got to play the same type of game, but with samurai and like demons and stuff, that was pretty cool. And then that thing went away. And in the era of put it out on every platform, Onimusha and Capcom they've disappeared. No longer. you guys will get to play a great game for the Switch pretty soon.
Oh, yeah?
Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Steam are going to see Onimusha next year.
Something new, something old that they're porting across?
I believe it is Warlords Remade.
Okay.
Which would be the first game.
So I wonder if they are then doing a lot of the stuff that they did for that remake of the Resident Evil games, where they took the bad controls away and let you use good ones.
One would hope.
I would also hope.
Yeah, that made a big splash when they did that. A lot of people were excited.
Well, it's hard to tell because they have such a following for Resident Evil that it's always fine, right? That no one's willing to say that Resident Evil games are generally all bad or whatever,
I think definitely, though, there are people that would say they like that original Resident Evil game, but they wish it didn't control like garbage. And so, I think it was very positively received when they put it out with, what people consider the normal modern controls, even though you don't have a camera because that game has fixed camera positions.
I'll be excited to see this. I'm in.
Oh, that's great. I mean, awesome.
I'm in on this.
Yeah, I'll look it up, learn more about it, maybe check it out.
And, it's interesting that there's the new game from Software is a similar aesthetic to that. A single samurai guy running around in vaguely feudal Japan-ish thing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody else was tired of not seeing Onimusha games.
Hey.
Made their own.
I hear you.
I did see a small piece of somewhat related news, Andy. I don't know if either of you guys saw this. The PlayStation 2 is officially being retired.
Wait.
Come again?
So they stopped production. Yeah, that was the same thing that I said when I saw the headline. They stopped production of them, I think, in 2012, but the repair factory in Japan was still performing repairs on any units that were sent back in. No longer. I believe as of the end of August, if you had filled out a repair request by August 31st and you got your console to them by September 7th, they would still repair it. And after that, they were done. No more support. PlayStation 2 is hanging it up. Officially.
I wonder if this bodes well for a PlayStation 4 marketplace for that type of stuff. Obviously, they're bringing out, Onimusha's coming. They've been bringing out a lot of PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games. I wonder if the PlayStation 4 is that easy to code for that they're now saying, you know what? These PS2 people can get these games again.
Yeah, I wonder. I think you just got to assume this is Sony going all right, how many of these people do we need to employ over here? Let's shuffle this over to some other division here. But I mean, yeah, PlayStation 4 has been out for quite a while, so maybe it is just getting easy enough where people are just we can just port one of these things pretty quick.
Well, it took Sony until last year or the year before to hang up CDs,
Yeah.
They don't produce those anymore either now. Or tapes. They produced tapes well into the 2000s, I believe. Good on them for doing it this long, I guess. I wonder. I don't think it'll skyrocket values of PlayStation 2s very much.
Probably not.
Doubtful. I mean, there were lots and lots and lots of PlayStation 2s sold.
Mine is still under my bed.
Yeah, I have mine under my TV in my office.
I no
it
longer
still works just fine as far as I know.
Yeah, same.
Wow. Cool.
In other game-related news, Andrew, you may be excited in the way that I am to hear that Battletech has announced their expansion thing. I don't really know what to call it.
Well, there's an expansion and a patch coming. I know they used Gamescom to talk about what I would call a content expansion, but not a full expansion.
Yeah. So
Maybe?
I think they're called. Yeah, is it Farpoint? Is that the?
I believe you're right.
That sounds right to me. And they're talking about adding more mission types for light and medium mechs to make them more useful.
Yeah. So they're adding in... I want to talk about that in a second, but they're adding in something called... What are they called? They're called extended engagements as well.
Right.
So this is an interesting dichotomy I want to lay out. They're talking about adding in missions where you're going to need to bring medium and light mechs. I wonder how they're going to tell you that and what that means. Generally, I would guess that means you need to catch up to something, so you need something that moves fast.
Right.
But extended engagements are these engagements where you will, much like some of the story missions, and I don't think this is a spoiler, it'll warn you in advance of this, hey, you're not going to get to repair your mech between now and the next mission.
Right.
To me, that screams, don't bring a light mech.
Right. You definitely don't want to bring a light mech if you have no chance to repair it because, yeah, I mean, you lose one arm and you've lost 80% of the firepower, potentially.
Did you know in that game that if you put a weapon system on the arms of your mech, it is more accurate?
Huh. I don't know if I knew that.
You get a shot bonus for that.
You get a bonus on the arms?
You get a +1 accuracy bonus to the weapon that is on the arm.
And if, for instance, if I put it in the torso or the chest, you lose that bonus?
+1.
Interesting. I did not know that.
I did not either.
So deep.
I did not either because I don't know where you would possibly find that, but it makes the possible loss of your weapon because it's on a more fragile part of your mech somewhat better.
Yes, because I was frequently putting my rare and expensive weapons in the torso pieces, which I then put maximum armor on because
stacked the inside of my mechs too, of course.
Yeah.
Until you try to squash TTS elements in there, and then you can't fit everything.
Yep. Well, that's very rad news. I am excited to try that stuff out. I think... So... Okay, so that's the content expansion they're talking about.
Yeah, and they're trying to create more mercenary content for after the game is over, it sounds like.
Which is awesome. I think that the...
Sure, I haven't even hit 5 stars with my Merc contracts in that game. So...
Did you get through the ending of the story?
Yes, I have completed the story, and I have taken 136 hours in that game, and I still have not completed all 5 stars of the reputation with Comstar.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, and I still have yet to find a regular Atlas. I tried again last night for an hour and a half, flying around all these planets. No Atlas.
I'm excited about that, so I hope that whatever that is comes out. Did they say if it was going to be paid?
I believe it was free.
Okay. Cool.
Which is crazy considering this game has already started going on sale.
Yeah, I mean, well, I am sure at some point in the future there will be paid expansions.
Absolutely. They seem to have a long game plan for this thing. Possibly, maybe, I would guess another story arc somewhere.
Yeah.
And I would gladly pay for that. And I think that people, if they see it for 40% off, like I've seen it, should double down and buy a copy immediately. I'm in love with it. It's a fantastic game. We've talked enough about that on this pod. The patch that came, by the way, not a ton in it. They changed the morale mechanics, though, so I'm interested to try that out eventually.
Ooh, I definitely need to try that out then.
Yeah, your ship gives you Fury when you start combat, and Fury operates differently, and there will be new mech warrior abilities. They're revamping all those.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, in other news of things that were given to people who already own the game, Divinity Original Sin 2 is a game that I played quite a lot of back when it came out. And they've put out what they're calling the Definitive Edition, which is the same game if you own it on PC. It is now just the Definitive Edition. You have the option, I guess, to play it as the previous version, but apparently... they rewrote large portions of the quest. They re-recorded, they said 1,500 lines of dialogue or something, and made a bunch of combat tweaks and stuff, and also have put the game out on consoles. So if players there want to go try that particular brand of turn-based strategy, I recommend it. great game. I loved my playthrough on PC, so now I'm looking down the barrel of potentially having to play another 80 hours into that. We'll see how that goes.
I have an interesting update on Gwent as well, because I know you've played a ton of Divinity Original Sin, right? And we played a lot of Gwent for a long time until they started to change. I'm not going to say it for the worse or anything, but like until they started to change it a little bit from definite rows like they had in it to kind of a more fluid.
It really got to the point where I didn't understand the point of the rows. They had made every card playable in so many different places that like the rows were sort of meaningless.
Yeah, it was really only to try and like spread your dudes out so they didn't all get hit by weather.
Yep.
Which even then they changed weather so that it didn't affect. I don't know.
Yeah,
it sounds like that game has gotten to be a lot, and also that the rules for cards have gotten complicated enough that they need to break the teams apart from. They were planning to bring out an original single-player story-based card game. They brought it out into another game. They're not going to leave it inside Gwent. It'll be a separate game called Thronebreaker.
So that's like a really interesting move. And Hearthstone, I guess, kind of is the parallel there. And Hearthstone's single-player stuff does not typically change the same way its multiplayer stuff does.
Right.
I think that's to the benefit of that game, and it's probably to the benefit of this thing, too.
This would be like if Hearthstone, though, launched another game called Cards of Warcraft. Or something, right?
Yeah, I like that name.
Okay. All right. But it would be like that, right? And then expecting a bunch of people to jump over there. It's a little bit of an interesting decision. I don't know that I'm against it or anything, but
yeah, I think also going into this is the idea then that thing is now a paid product where Gwent currently is free.
I wonder if they will try to occupy the same space as Slay the Spire. This is supposed to have a narrative, though.
So it won't be that similar then.
But I wonder if it'd be a narrative version of the same game.
Yeah, interesting. And you wonder then, are they just like totally divorcing this game from Gwent? Like, is it not going to play the same as Gwent? Is it just going to be some other game that's also a card game? Or is it going to be Gwent-ish, but now the rules are different and they kind of can do whatever they want because they're not tied to the multiplayer?
It's a divergent thing. I'm sure as the games go on, they will become less involved with each other. But
yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. We enjoyed that time we played Gwent, so I don't, I'm not against the idea of them doing this.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that Gwent, maybe it's Hearthstone's fault that Gwent didn't stick with us as long as it did, or as long as it should have.
Yeah, probably. I think also it's the lack of a mobile client.
Oh, yeah, that could be. All right, well, last episode we started a thing called Crazy Headlines You've Never Heard Before. Or something. I don't. That's not what it was
working
called.
title.
Working title. I like it.
This is Michael's segment, but he didn't title it. I got one for you today, you guys.
Okay.
So I want you to close your eyes and picture with me a 3D space. You're in space, and you've got like a gigantic cube. Space cube. And then you can put like a geometric pyramid. And a geometric, let's say a rectangle, and a couple smaller squares. This is now a game called Flotilla, as came out in probably 2010, and I doubt either of you played it. It was a 3D combat simulated space game with very little. It was actually very pretty. They used a lot of colors and beautiful backgrounds, but the ships were not really ships. They were kind of geometric shapes, and based on how big they were, you got an idea of how powerful they might be and how slow they might be or how fast they might be. And there were a lot of statistics and a roguelike story where you bounced from combat zone to combat zone trying to win these 3D combats. So your ships could go up, down, they could roll, they could do all sorts of complicated maneuvers where they would fly if you had an up, right? because it's 3D. But if you had an up, they would up, rotate, come back down while shooting at certain, people. So it was kind of a small thought puzzle thing where you had a few ships to maneuver into combat. Great game. A lot of fun. Very simple. They've decided to release a second edition of this game, and they put out some pictures, and it looks very similar. And I thought to myself, they didn't really change this a lot. I wonder what the grab is to get people to play this. It will be PC only and VR only.
That seems rather niche.
Well, it sounds like the original game was kind of niche anyway, but that's kind of cool, I guess. You can, move them through 3D space or something with your hands or something, maybe?
How do you feel about that? I know there's a lot of VR-only games. Most of them are designed from the ground up to be VR games, and this one seems like the first of a generation of games that was designed on a computer platform, flat, screen, to then move over. Do you think that that's where things are headed, or is this kind of a niche game trying to find a different niche, even though the people that likely would have played it would be me, and I don't have VR?
Well, the first thing that it reminded me of when you said that it was going to be VR after describing the game was Ender's Game.
Yeah, sure. Okay. A little bit. Yeah, if you took
you're
the
basically
reality out of it a little bit.
Sure, yeah. The geometric shapes are a little different, but the idea, that you're in this 3D simulation of a battle is...
I feel like you would like Homeworld quite a bit, and that if Homeworld made this, it would be bigger news. But I could see this being a test run for something like a game like Homeworld coming out and saying we're only doing VR.
Though, I think it makes sense to me I don't know. I guess the opposite of what this is doing makes sense to me, to make a game that has a VR version and then also not a VR version. Because really, how many people have VR? If you want people to play your game, if you're attempting to, make money or make a product that people see, you can't make a VR-only thing. There just aren't enough people with VR.
Well, it's been a long time since we've heard the glowing news stories about how VR is changing the world and catching on. I think that stuff might have been a little overblown.
I think everyone realized that didn't happen.
When you need a 1080 Ti to run it anything good.
I think you can get by with quite a bit less than that. But yeah, I mean, you need expensive hardware regardless.
Or a PlayStation.
And
expensive hardware.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that, the potential market for people with VR is just not that big. And so if you want people to play your game, you got to make a version that doesn't have the VR stuff also, which is probably a bummer. And then so that puts a game like that in an interesting spot. Are they just making this VR thing because someone on their team wanted to try it and they're just let's do this VR thing and see how many we sell if we make it, like you said, it didn't look like it was that different from the original PC version, then maybe it didn't cost them that much to make and they don't have to worry about it.
I know that the original PC version was made by one person, so this must be some sort of pet project.
Okay. Well, I feel less bad about it then. It's not like they spent, hundreds of millions of dollars on a fancy new product that no one will get to play.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to say some words. Then we're going to do our little call to actions, because I know a lot of people, when I say these words, are going to turn the podcast off. But Michael is probably chomping at the bit. It's officially football season and fantasy football season. But before we start on that... where could people get at us about all these news stories and the things that they want to know more about or hear us talk about on this podcast?
They can do that at our email address, which is podcast@weweregamers.com. But you can also get to us on Twitter and Instagram. We're at weweregamers there. And hit like on our Facebook and all that stuff. See, we post the podcast there. Which is We Were Gamers on Facebook as well. And we have a website, weweregamers.com. You can go right there and find the pod. And on your local Google or Apple store where podcasts are distributed. All those good places.
All right, Michael, here's these reins. You just drive us straight off this cliff that is the rest of the year of football and fantasy football and college football and road trips and.
Oh yeah, so we'll leave NFL off for now because it doesn't technically start until later this week. But college football is back. That is probably the most exciting to me. Yeah, I think you were at the game, Andy, that I did not watch over the weekend. That sort of unannounced anniversary gifts to my wife was to not subject her to the opening weekend of college football.
Well, it's now announced.
Well, now that it's passed.
Yeah, you missed out. It was an interesting opening season to college football. A lot of basically decided games went the way they should, but not in the most pretty fashion. And Pac-12 After Dark got off to a good start with Arizona and BYU. It was quite the game.
Yeah, that one sounded like there were some fireworks.
And of course, I think also for a few people here, fantasy football season has started. Are you all happy with your teams? Are you grumbling yet? Are you Jerick McKinnon?
So mine is my fantasy league is interesting. I'm playing for the first time. One of my cousins put together a family league, and there are only 8 of us. So I don't know if you guys have done leagues that small before, but it tends to sort of concentrate the talent. So let me read you some names here. This is off my bench: Andrew Luck, Jack Doyle. I stashed Mark Ingram, Michael Crabtree, Shady McCoy.
Pretty solid bench.
Right. So
I'm gonna
starters.
bag on your bench a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna bag on your bench a little bit.
Okay.
8-team league. Why are you benching any quarterback?
That's a good point.
Touche.
In an 8-team league, you shouldn't have Shady McCoy. You should have fostered him off under somebody else because he's gonna suck this season.
That's a separate point.
And an 8-team league, Marvin Ingram should not be on a roster.
I don't think so. Mark Ingram will do just fine, but he is
he'll be
suspended
fine
for
once
4
he's
games.
back.
And he's not the lead rusher either. Alvin Kamara is. So you're going to roster a guy that's suspended 4 games and is going to come back and be a third down and pass catcher.
Well, he was never a third down and pass catcher before, though. Kamara was the third down and pass catcher. He was the 1 and 2 guy.
But it's supposed to be flopped this year, or am I wrong?
I don't know. So I don't know that he ever went and caught passes before. Not that he
all right,
can't.
I'll back off.
So,
all right, fine.
anyway,
fine. Keep Ingram on your roster.
He seems all right.
Fine. I'm backing off that one.
Okay, so we'll move to the starters then. Points taken though.
Just
I think there's a big
row.
question mark around that whole team.
Every team in 8 team is just murderers row on starters.
Yep.
Yeah. So flex positions: Golden Tate, Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Tight end Jordan Reed. That's fine.
Will he stay healthy for a season?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Running backs: Christian McCaffrey, David Johnson.
What round did you get Christian McCaffrey?
I got
position did you get David Johnson?
First.
I think I got David Johnson with my first pick, and I had the 4th pick.
Okay, 4th.
And I think I got Christian McCaffrey in the 3rd or 4th round.
Wow, 4th round. It seems impossible.
I want to say it was the 3rd round because I think I picked a wide receiver and then came back and got McCaffrey. So wide receivers: Michael Thomas, Doug Baldwin, and Big Ben at the helm.
So I have a question for you two. I heard this year of a variant that it's starting to catch on with people. No kickers.
So that has been common before because people see kickers as basically replaceable, so they just don't deal with them and end up with whatever random kicker they pick up at the end. I think the only problem with that is that Yahoo anyway forces you to draft one of every roster position, so you can't.
Oh, that seems problematic.
But people definitely, once the draft has ended, will drop their kicker and pick up someone else.
Well, no. So there's leagues forming nowadays where they just don't even let you roster kickers. No kicker spot.
Whoa, spicy.
That's different.
Yep.
I don't know about that. I mean, okay, I guess if you just don't care about kicking, but I think kickers add to the game. I don't think it's bad.
You think so?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, that it strikes me as a little, as in the same basket as 2 QB leagues.
No.
Well, just in the sense that it's
QB
kind of a
leagues are
niche.
bad.
It's a niche category.
Yeah, it sounds like something weird that people do, but is not like the standard way to play.
Okay. I've heard more about it this year than ever. I know the 2 QB leagues are kind of dying out because they're bad.
Yeah. Also, you can't play with more than like 8 people because you just run out of QBs.
And you can
Right,
play
they're
with
only-
12, but you get screwed.
For the record, the leagues that I am in, I also have Christian McCaffrey, and I got him in the auction for $44
What's your budget?
out of 200.
Wow.
Okay.
Paying
a premium.
For the record, Le'Veon Bell in that league went for 72, and Ezekiel Elliott 66.
You people are nuts.
And the
Wow.
other league, I got him in the second round in the 10th pick of 12. I feel like that was worth it. I hope that he stays healthy.
There's the health question. JJ, a question that's from having McCaffrey is, or I guess are either of your leagues PPR?
Yes, half PPR.
Okay.
That was a big reason why I considered him.
Well, that's the wrinkle about our family league that got set up as full PPR.
Enjoy that. You need pass-catching backs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that means
great news for
Eckler
you.
just went up in value tremendously.
Yes. Sorry. That guy's name always trips me up.
I think it's Eckler. I might be wrong.
I think you're right.
Well, I'm sure we'll continue the fantasy football after minute as the season goes on, as well as talking some college football this year, probably. A little bit. Maybe not a lot of it. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I watched that San Diego-Stanford game. It was pretty good,
Yeah?
I would say.
Yeah, they did San Diego State. It sounded like did a really good job of bottling up Bryce Love.
I would say it was a good game for Stanford, but a very bad game for Bryce Love.
Did you?
Yes.
What did you, JJ, think of the SDSU passing defense, however?
It was bad. I don't think that's a secret.
Well, from a slightly historical perspective, that was always one of the weaknesses of some of the Stanford teams in the past. When McCaffrey came back for his next season after his big season, teams did the same thing that San Diego State did to Bryce Love. They stacked the box and dared the team to pass over the top. And, there were varying degrees of success, but it's always one of those things that, is the guy under center going to be able to step up to the occasion? And the last one who really did was Andrew Luck.
I don't know how good San Diego State will be. And maybe, Andrew, do you know? I know they did this deal with Stanford for a few years. Was this the last year of it, or is there 2 more?
I don't usually think those small school agreements last for very long.
Because it's already been 2 years, right? At
this
least
is
2.
the second year of the deal.
Right. They've done 1 at Stanford and 1 down here in San Diego.
I would not be surprised.
I know that next year and the year after, it's UCF.
Okay, then it's just a 2. Because they wouldn't go back to SDSU then. So there you go, 2 years.
Okay,
Done.
good to know.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles when it's made out of chicken wing.